Hello there, this is Cindy at cindybdesigns.com, and today we are going to be making a pretty elegant wedding card using For the New Two by Stampin' Up, and this is going to be our sentiment. We're also going to be using other materials as well. A lot of them are in the spring catalog that's going to be retiring in a couple months, so what better time to use them up. Since wedding season is upon us, this is the perfect set to use for just a gorgeous wedding card, and I think I have one planned out for you today. We are going to be using, I believe this is called Everyday Elegance, and this is basic black and very vanilla, and you're thinking black wedding card, what are you doing? We're going to put this vellum overlay on top of it and just make this really fabulous card. I was watching Carissa Wiley at sprinkledwithglitter.com, and she talked about this great adhesive by Ken Oliver that you don't see through vellum, and I think that's like a crafter's. Vellum is fabulous. It's kind of hard to work with when you want to deal with adhesive, but I have spots where, with what I'm going to do where I can use to go ahead and adhere it, but I really want this piece all the way down. And since I've already pre-cut it, either I'm going to mess up, and if I do, I have a plan B to where I'll just go ahead and get the adhesive down and then cut it again. However, I really liked how I have this piece cut right here, because my embellishments are going to go up here, whereas my sentiment's going to be down here, and the cardstock is not so busy. So we're going to go ahead and open this up, and this is double-sided, and I'm glad I actually had some of this in my stash. It's pretty much of a hot commodity, so it's something that you definitely don't want to waste. And it's just, again, it's called Stick It by Ken Oliver, and there's 5 sheets in here. They're 8 by 6 1/4. And since it is double-sided, I'm going to go ahead and I want to pop it on top of this cardstock first. Now the cool thing about it is that there's these little places here that you can grab to pull up the paper, or at least one of the release sheets. And this stuff is also very thin too, but like I said, I saw Carissa make a card, and she made a comment that you just really cannot see the adhesive behind the vellum at all. And she's kind of the vellum queen, so I'm going to take her word for it. I'm hoping just to get this stuff popped up. Okay, there we are. So this is one side, and I don't want the whole thing to come up because I still have another side to pull off. So we're just going to work it. And this stuff is very sticky. So I'm just going to lay it down, and it's not straight at all, that you want it to go on straight. I'm just going to go ahead and grab a pair of scissors and cut off what I don't need. So I'm going to have to trim this to fit anyway. I did use Blueprints 15 from My Favorite Things, which is this frame right here. Again, you know how I love my stitch detail. And I'm just going to get my bone folder and just make sure that this is really nicely burnished. On here. And I think the really super hard part for me is going to, again, find where this is, because right underneath here is another sticky layer. And that is where I am going to put the vellum piece on top of. And you can see right there I have just a little bit of air where the crease is. So I'm going to pull that off. And I have just a little corner of the top layer here that I can pull off as well. So I'm going to go ahead and get that done, and when I have this pulled off, I'm going to go ahead and turn this camera back on, and then we'll lay down our vellum cardstock. Okay, what you actually do is just grab this and pull it off, and your adhesive is right underneath it. So it's not one of those layered type of cardstocks or sticky sheets where you have to pull off too. This stuff is messy sticky. Now the hardest part for me is going to get my vellum perfectly lined up with this, because I have to, or else I will be cutting this again. So this is my first time. A little bit experimental, but I'm going to zoom in and see if you can see just kind of that gloss sheen right there. It's really not that bad. I'm tempted just to dump glitter all over this. That'd be so cool, because it would stick. I do have a space over on my right where I have some paper tearing, so awesome. Now, this is really vellum paper. It's not cardstock, and there's a difference. I gotta zoom out, sorry. The cardstock is much thicker, around 43 pounds or so. Paper, I'm guessing, I don't know, 20. And this is where it's really super critical to get this on straight. I got a feeling this is just one of those types of adhesive where you have one shot, especially when your paper's cut out like mine. And there is no turning back. And if I actually pull this off, I did. I'll be pretty proud of myself. And Carissa, thank you. She's right. Check this out. You can't even tell I have vellum on top of there, and it's perfectly adhered. This is great. Look at that. Okay, that makes my card very super happy now. So again, don't forget, Stick It by Ken Oliver. Good stuff. I'm going to have to get me some more of that. The next thing I want to do with this card, because I am going to layer it up a little bit onto, because this is still kind of thin since the designer series paper, and this is by Stampin' Up, it's kind of thin, and I do want to use some cording around it. So I have my cardstock cut already to your standard A2 card size. Again, fold it back on itself, and this is Gina K Designs Pure Luxury. This stuff is 120 pounds. It's thick. And I'm going to make it a side folding card because I'm going to have some weight on it, and that way it will stand up easier. I showed you this a million times. When you fold it back on itself, you get no creasing or cracking or anything at the top like that. And you keep seeing me trying to pull off something. I have glue on my nail, and honestly it's driving me crazy because for once I have a fresh manicure. Then I went ahead and cut another panel using Blueprints 15, and this is just the layering weight. This is going to go right on top of here perfectly. I'm just going to use regular adhesive. And then I already have my foam cut out, and I cut this out from Blueprints 13 because I know just from using it so many times it's smaller than the 15. And it's going to fit on there just perfect. Now this card is really, really symbolic because in the Bible it states that a threefold cord with marriage is not easily broken. However, God has to be in the middle. And when He's not, you have an epic fail. And I speak from experience. So let's go ahead and get our sentiment on here. I'm going to go ahead and pull over my Misty because I want to use VersaFine. I don't want to do any heat embossing or anything like that on this card. However, you get some fabulous results from the VersaFine ink. It's just extremely vivid and very black. The only downfall to inking up a stamp upside down with this kind of ink, like I'm going to do now, going like this, is that you have more of a chance to get ink on the outside, whereas if you have it on the block, what's going to pull the ink first is the raised part of the stamp. And this is on there straight. I've already tested it. When you have a rubber stamp and you're using the Misty, you do not need this black foam piece here. So I'm just going to take it out, remove it. You still need your magnets. And I already set this up. To where it's just going to go right there in the corner. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to grab this VersaFine black onyx ink. And you can see with just a couple pats how vibrant and intense that ink is. I'm also being extremely careful not to get anything on the edges, especially not after that work. So take a really good look around the edges of your stamp. Close the door. And you may be asking why I'm not using silver. because my embellishments are going to be silver and I don't want to do any kind of silver overkill. That adhesive on my nail right there, sorry, it's just really bugging my OCD. So I am pressing this gently, and it's something that it needs to dry. You can dump clear embossing powder on here if you want, just to really shine it up. We have some pretty good bling going on for my plan. And remember, since you are stamping on vellum, it can be a little bit on the temperamental side. So I'm just going to ink this up again. And the beauty of the Misty is that you're going to get the same ink placement every single time. Okay, that is beautiful. And I am going to change my mind and just go ahead and add a little bit of clear embossing on there. I don't think it's really going to hurt anything. Once again, I'm going to go ahead and grab this awesome Lawn Fawn stamp chamois. You'll pick up everything. The only thing I don't like about it is that it does stay black. And when it rinses out, it's completely clean. But again, it's an OCD issue. You have to remember what type of ink I just used on this stamp, and it is one of the most intense, if not the intense, black ink on the market. Let's see if I can get that straight. And I'm just wiping this off, and I have no residue whatsoever, because rubber stamps can stain. I'm going to go ahead and set my Misty aside for a little while. I'm going to go ahead and pull out some clear, and that will even clean up your workspace. I'm going to grab some clear embossing powder since I was not planning on this, and then go ahead and get that heat set for you. Okay, I'm done. Gorgeous. Love the shine. It's better than I expected for it to turn out. Now, since this wedding card is symbolic, like I said, everything's going to be done in threes. So I have some gold cording here from Stampin' Up. I'm going to pay, and I got a little bit of warping, but we'll get that fixed. So I'm just going to flip that over. And just use regular tape to tape that down. Because since we're putting that, and if you ever get ink on your fingers too, the stamp chamois is wonderful just to clean it off. So I've got this wrapped around once. I've got it wrapped around twice. And I've got it wrapped around 3 times. I am doing this pretty evenly. Again, that symbolism. And turn it over. Grab another piece of Scotch tape. Put it on the back. And just cut my excess. Now I'm going to do a complete cheater's bow. Now the fun part is next. We have these great, I'm going to stand up. We have these great botanical garden jewels embellishments. And they are silver. Very pretty. And what I wanted to do again was line them up in groups of 3. And that's why it was important for me to have the sentiment down here at the bottom and then have the roses at the top, because the roses won't kill the look of my flowers. They'll just really complement it. So lay everything out on your card in the position that you want it in. You could get a T-ruler, do it all perfect and everything, but I'm going to eyeball it. I'm just keeping track of my side margins and my margins on top. So I have a total of 9 here. And again, it's that 3-fold cord thing. I'm not going to make sure that all these flowers are in the exact same position or perfect on here. I think it just adds a little bit of whimsy fun to the card, but yet it still keeps it elegant. These glue dots are extremely, extremely strong, and that is what I'm going to be using to adhere everything. So I'm pretty cool with where I have everything positioned. This is going to be kind of the fussy part a little bit, because I want to leave everything where it is. So I just grab my tweezers and I'm going to pop this on a glue dot. And it's going to be one of those time kind of issues rather than just throwing all 9 of them on there. I'm starting in the middle and using that as my base. The next one is going to be my top right. Kind of like for tic-tac-toe, but remember, I'm always keeping my eye on that middle one. And then once you get one on each line secured down, the rest are really super easy. So I'm going to go ahead and get that completed for you, since you get the general idea. And then we are going to come back and finish our card. And remember, these glue dots are a little bit, they're forgiving. If you don't like the way that something was placed. And they're not going to stay secure until you give them a good press. Okay, there we go. I'm going to go ahead and finish up the placement of the rest of my jewels, and we'll be right back to finish putting the card together. Okay, is this beautiful or what? It's absolutely gorgeous, and in person you can see every single detail on here. And thank you, Carissa, so much. This is the first time in 9 years that I've ever seen any kind of adhesive that does not show through vellum. So now I won't be so, I'm not going to say afraid, but I'll be more inclined to use it from here on out, just because I know that it is out there. And vellum really does add an awful lot of just something to your projects. It's kind of an unexpected element a little bit because you really don't see it on a lot of projects out there. So thank you for that. I've already gone ahead and put a tremendous amount of adhesive on the back of this since it's kind of warpy from the heat embossing. The entire front is covered in adhesive, and then there's some serious weight to it too with those flower jewels embellishments. So I'm just going to go ahead and peel this off. I already have a piece of cardstock cut from Gina K Designs using the Blueprints 15, but this is the layering weight since this is pretty thick up here. I just needed that to get on the card, and then I caved with one more thing in the front to kind of just bring in the silver elements down to the embellished part, and I'll show that to you in a second. But once again, I'm going to have to line this up perfectly in order for it to work. And sorry, but I just got to get my space clean a little bit. So once again, I'm going to pull this in, and it's super sticky on the back. I just use my hands to get the sides straight. And the bottom's already going to be this straight just because it's already on the bottom. And you can see I have a pretty good fit. I have a little bit on the top here. It's going to go on a cream cardstock anyway. You're really not going to see it. I'm not going to worry about it. If it drives you nuts, go ahead and trim it off. But it's not going to be seen. So I went ahead and got the Hearts Border Punch from Stampin' Up and some of their silver glimmer paper. Put a sticky dot on the back of this heart, and I'm going to cover up this black heart just like that and give it a little bit more dimension. So we have a nice straight follow through of all of the colors. I think it looks so cool, and I'm pretty excited about the way it turned out. Now I'm going to go ahead and add my foam adhesive or my Fun Foam to the back of this. So I am going to get this lined up using my mat. I don't have a lot of wiggle room from the Blueprints 15. So I'm just going to check my tops, my bottoms, my sides. And I'm looking pretty good. Give that a good press, and we have a beautiful card. I think this is like the most favorite wedding card I've ever made. It's very cool. So while we are at it, let's go ahead and do the inside. When my outside turns out great and I blow it stamping, it's a total killjoy. So I'm going to set that aside. And I'm going to do some heat embossing for our panel. Again, this is Gina K Designs. It's her layering weight because the card base is the heavy base. And I'm just going to go ahead and emboss the entire put my anti-static bag on the entire piece of cardstock. Even though I don't need it, it's just better to be safe rather than sorry. So we're going to get some embossing going on in the middle. I'm going to go ahead and grab my Misty back over here. So there's a couple different things that I want to do with this. And the beauty of it too is if I blow it. Okay, these are rubbers, so I really don't need that bottom mat. If I blow it, all I have to do is cut a new panel. I still have my front and it's great. I love this image right here. I think it's just pretty cool and exactly what the card needs. So I want to cover this in this gorgeous liquid platinum embossing powder by Ranger. It's not quite a silver, but I think it's just great for this card. I just kind of tap the excess off like that. I don't flick it because you do want your embossing powder to stay on your project. It's kind of a must for me to put my lid on afterwards. And again, I'm going to heat emboss this real quick. Don't forget to let your tool heat up for a good, 10, 15 seconds. The less time that the heat is applied to the paper, the less warping that you have. Look how beautiful that turned out. It is just lovely. And then we take it to the front. Oh, love it. Okay, so I'm just going to wipe off that stamp real quick. And then we're going to go ahead and grab a sentiment from, again, the same stamp set for the inside. And since we use this on the outside, these two sentiments go together much better just because of the font. I don't want to mix it up like that. I'm going to use this one here. They go. They work perfect. And it keeps the card more on the elegant side, which is exactly what I'm looking for. Okay, here is our inside panel. How gorgeous is that? The embossing turned out fabulous. So now I'm going to go ahead and bring in our card. Since I know that this is cool, I'm going to open it up and carefully place this. And I already put a tremendous amount of adhesive on the back, just some Be Creative tape, because I did do heat embossing and it did work. I'm just going to press that down. And I'm also bringing some of that stitch detail on the outside to the inside. And to go ahead and bring just a little bit of glimmer in from the outside, I had an extra heart left over, so I went ahead and put a glue dot on the back of that. And I'm just going to accent our sentiment and put that up there. So there is the inside of our beautiful wedding card. I love that. And this is the outside. So again, it's really, I think it's extremely symbolic, and it really is a beautiful wedding card. I hope that you've enjoyed this video and I've given you some inspiration. And Carissa, you rock. Thank you so much for introducing me to this wonderful stick of paper, again by Ken Oliver. And the beauty about this too is that you can also cut it and just use it around the outsides. You don't have to slam it on or apply it to your entire cardstock. I just wanted to because I wanted this vellum to go down and stay down. So vellum is your friend now, and have a lot of fun using it. Thank you so much for stopping by to visit me today and watch my video on this beautifully elegant wedding card. Thank you for subscribing to my YouTube channel, thumbs upping me, subscribing to my blog. Your comments and everything, they're very, very kind. I really appreciate them. So I hope that you've enjoyed this again, and God bless you and have a wonderful day. I will see you the next time around. Bye.